This video is a demonstration of how to use the Google Earth desktop application to explore golden eagle data tracks. So when you first open Google Earth, it should look something like this. You have a toolbar on the top, a box to search in, a place where you can download your own information, and then a place where you can turn on and off layers in Google Earth. So I'm going to just real quick show some very basic ways to navigate around Google Earth. You can use the arrow keys, and one thing you'll notice, you'll need to click in this window to make it active. When I use the arrow keys left and right, the Earth spins, as you might expect. In the upper right here, you can also navigate some of Google Earth by turning these arrows. Now let's say you get kind of lost and you get into a place where you don't want to be. Now you can come in here and reset your view, the tilt and compass, at any time. And at that point, all you'll need to do is back all the way back out, which is in this zoom right here. So I'll go ahead and drag it down to minus it out all the way. You can also use the minus key or the plus key. And then we'll get back out to this view of the whole Earth. And right now we're looking at the North America in particular. In this case, let's pick a point right in this area here. And if I press the plus or minus key, in this case I'll press the plus key, I will continue to zoom in to this place that's highlighted. Now let's say I want to zoom in kind of more up in this area. Well, I can click and drag all of Google Earth to that area and then continue to zoom. And you can make little adjustments all along the way doing this. What are some landforms that we can see? Well, we can see mountains here. We can see the Great Plains. We can see oceans to start. Here are some deserts down in here. So very quickly you can see the whole, everything from the whole Earth. And then again, if I zoom in to this area, you'll see a label for the Black Rock Desert. And we can keep zooming in here to where we see all desert. I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out again. You can do that by using your scroll wheel, the minus key, or you can go over this part of the application and just pull down and zoom out. I'll go ahead and show you some of these. Right now we don't have any layers in our places, but we do have layers in this main database for Google Earth. And I really encourage you to just explore this. I'll show you some basic ones. This borders and layers, you can see we can click it off and back on again. And it shows us some of the state names. Here's Montana. And we'll just one more time, we'll click it off again and click it on. Also shows us mountain ranges. And here in blue are the names of some of the bodies of water in particular. You can also click this arrow here, and here you can see, here's the borders, and here are the labels. So you can really experiment with that. I really like turning the labels off when I'm just exploring so that I don't have any other distraction. However, these labels can be very useful. Another layer in here that I wanted to show you, I'll show you two more. Here's a Parks and Recreation layer. So if I click this Parks and Recreation layer, I'm going to simplify. I'm going to turn off all the borders and layers, and I'm going to just click on the Parks and Rec. So here in the United States anyway, when we mouse over these different areas, we can see Lone Low National Forest, and we can see here in this case up here is the National Bison Range. I'll go ahead and turn that off to make it simple, and here I'm going to turn on Wikipedia, which is another great way to learn about the landscape around you. So you can see these little W's pop up here. Here's Missoula County, Montana, Missoula, Montana, and the University of Montana. Now you can find those all over the map, and they pop up in sometimes unexpected places and sometimes right where you might expect them. I'll go ahead and turn that off again and zoom out. Now when you open this file, it will be unique to the other files that are uploaded on the that folder. So it'll take a few moments to load, and then you'll see this eagle track where the eagle has traveled. Now you'll see lines, and then you'll also see individual points. These points can be a little bit inconsistent about when they appear and when they don't appear. So for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and turn the points off, which gives us a simple line. And if we zoom in and click and drag, we can kind of explore where this eagle has been. Now I'm curious, this looks kind of like a town here. And if you remember, I turned off the borders and layers, so I'm going to go ahead and turn them back off again. And here, over here, we can see Fort St. John is one of the towns that the eagle was close to. Let's see if there's any Wikipedia information about it. Doesn't look like there's any Wikipedia. However, I see this mountain icon, Wapiti Mountain. And this gives just some basic information about the mountain. In these migration tracks, you can see that the bird has traveled a long distance, so it's pretty easy to see what they've been up to. However, when you come into an area like this, you can see the bird has spent a lot of time there, and it's starting to cover up some of the land so that we can't see it very good. Now in this case, what we can do is come back over into the sidebar, and here is the file that we had, and it has these folders inside of it. You can open and close a file by pressing this arrow on the left hand side. So we're just looking at the line. And I'm going to go ahead and click on this line and then right click or control on the line, and that gives us Get Info. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. When we click on that Get Info button, I'm going to do it one more time. Get Info. It gives us some options. We can give it a name, we can add a description, and we can go into the style and color area. Now in this case, like I was saying, we are not able to see really what's going on with the landscape here. So right now it's at what's called 100% opacity, which means you can't see through the line at all. I'm going to make that 10 opacity and see how much we can see through. Well, that helped a little bit, but actually you really can't see very much of where the eagle is. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it up to 40. And there we can see a little better. How about 30? Okay, I'm going to stick with 30 for now. And that'll give us a little bit more of a chance to kind of look around in this area. And as we come in here, the lines are pretty light, but here you can see it really looks like this bird spent quite a bit of time coming and going from that particular tree. So you can adjust the style like that in these lines. You can also change the color. Let's change the color to, how about pink? And I'm going to keep the opacity down still at 40. So now we have pink lines. I'm going to make the line bigger also. So now we have bigger pink lines, and turn it down to 20. So now when we zoom out, we can't really see the other lines very well. However, we can really see that the eagle spent quite a bit of time in that area. Another thing I'd like to show you here is the points. Now, like I was saying, the points can be somewhat fickle about whether they appear or don't appear. So it can be pretty handy to keep the line on just to see where, for a frame of reference. If you open up the points folder, here we can see the very first point that was recorded is on February 15th, 2015. If we press enter on that point, we will go right to the very first recorded point of that whole data track. And we can do the same thing. So that was where the transmitter was put on, the Eagle. Interesting to know that. It's actually near MPG Ranch right here in the Bitterroot Valley in Montana. And you can learn that by zooming in and out. And then the last recorded point here is in June 12th of 2017. So this bird had its transponder backpack on for over two years. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and press enter on that point, and it zooms up to this place. Now, it did it so fast I actually don't know where that is. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom out. And here we can see it's all the way up. If we keep zooming out, it's all the way up in Alaska. I'm going to go ahead and close this folder again. When you're dealing with those points, it can be quite a bit of information for your computer to look at. I'll give you another little tip on how to explore these points. Up top here is it records the date of all of the data points. And if you slowly slide the slider across here, right now I can see that there's a point right here. Now I'm expecting that to change some. And actually we can see that it changed over to this area up here, whereas before it was over near the Bitterroot Range here. So on 11/1/2015, that's where the bird was. And so we can see the data points start to move. And then you can see just a very quick blip. Now my guess is that that's when the bird started its migration. When you can see a bunch of the points there on the right hand side, you know, the bird is really hanging out in that location quite a bit. When they migrate, they move quite a bit quicker over a long distance. So I'm going to zoom out, and oh, there you can see, just barely, you can see the bird move up. So that's actually really interesting. If I stop right there, I can see on March 31st, 2016, this bird was migrating north. And so if we continue to slide this forward, we can see the bird is continuing to hang out in Alaska. And here on October 13th, 2016, the bird begins its southern migration.